Welcome to the world united.
Welcome to the world united.
And let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Linda Howe. She is now in her third decade of spiritual teaching. Dr. Linda Howe is an award-winning author, teacher, and world-renowned leading expert in the field of Akashic studies. She was the first person to bring the Akashic Records to the world community and makes teachable access to the records available to anyone with a desire to learn. And she started this in 1996. In 2001 in Chicago, she founded the Linda Howe Center for the Akashic Studies, teaching thousands of people globally. She focuses on the Akashic Records as a spiritual resource for personal empowerment and transformation.
I want to get clear, kind of clear, right, about what Akashic is, the Akashic Record is, what the Akashic Approach would be, what it means to take an Akashic Approach, our idea of thriving, right, what that's all about, and then of course, bring it all together. You know, this Akashic, what would it be? What are we even talking about? The Akashic approach to thriving in challenging times. So let's talk about Akasha. Akasha is a Sanskrit word. It means primary substance, that from which all things are formed. So when we talk about the Akashic Record, what we're talking about is the raw essence of life, right? Before we get to it with our thoughts and feelings, intentions, hopes, and desires. The Akashic Record is a vibrational archive of every soul and its human journey. What this means, you know, so we think about it, yeah? And it's vibrational. So what that means is it's invisible. We do not see it with the human eye, nor do we see it with the strong eye. There is no big golden book. There is no virtual library. It is vibrational, so we don't see it. It's all right, right? It is the archive. So it's a collection. It's a treasury, really, of all souls in the journey as human. Okay, so everybody's in it. Good news. Everybody's in it. Maybe not such good news. But the truth is we can't erase people. If someone says, oh, I erased you from the records, they don't know what they're talking about. And if there's somebody you would like to blot out, I'm sorry. But the good news is the record is vast. It's comprehensive. It's a unified field of everything. And there's plenty of room for every one of us. We're also talking about the soul's journey as human. Now, it may absolutely be true that in a prior or future incarnation, you experience life as an animal or maybe as an extraterrestrial. The record has no comment on that. The record pertains only to the human experience. Okay, so if what you want is to know, you know, about experiences you've had in other galaxies, I mean, by all means, go for it. But that information will not be in the records, just so you know. Okay, now, each set of records, yours, mine, every person's records has two parts: the permanent, right, and the evolving. All righty. Now, my heavens, I am having a technical day that is so funny. Everything's blowing up around me. My apologies. So here's the thing: the permanent, right? The permanent part of everybody's records. You know, people say, "Oh, the Akashic Record, it's in stone, it's permanent." Well, that is true. But what is permanent in your record is I like to think of it as your ultimate potential, the divine etching of who you are destined to become throughout your lifetimes. That it is good, right? This is a good thing. And it's permanent. It doesn't change, right? So at the inception of the soul, there is a divine impression woven into the fabric of the soul, and that is who we are to become. At some point, through our journey as human here on Earth. What travels along with that is, well, I like to think of this as the chronicles of you, right? It's the stories of the lifetimes you live through which you awaken to your ultimate potential and begin to live it while you're here on Earth, right? This is evolving. Now, the fact is, like the underpinning is that you will awaken at some point. I mean, you know that already. Everyone will awaken at some point. And because we're infinite beings, we got a lot of time, which is good because we actually need a lot of time first to awaken to the fact that there is more to us than meets the eye, and then to live in that truth while we're still on Earth. I think it's very easy to be in the reality of our oneness and our divine potential when we're not in body, right? It's a lot of fun. But you get into a body. I mean, here we are on Earth. I don't know about you. I have a son, I have a mortgage, I have a spouse, I have all these things. It's like, well, now wait a minute. This is it's spiritual hardball is what it is. So your records have two parts. They travel together. One is permanent, the other is evolving. Both are true. Okay. The Akashic Record is a comprehensive field of everything. It is a realm of light. Okay, it is not a deity. We don't have to pray to the record, thank goodness. What it is, it's a very pure light. And as we go through our lifetimes, we gather great wisdom and knowing and love and consciousness. All these things are never wasted. And when we step into the record, the light is, we shine the light on the soul, and all the treasures embedded in your soul come into focus, and you're able to use them and apply them to your life and live in the truth of who you are. I like to think of the record, right? When I understand it exists at the level of the soul, right? A soul level dimension of consciousness emerging from the soul, which you can think of as the floor of the heart center, and the source about 18 inches above the crown of the head, right? And here we have the record as the energetic connective tissue from the soul to the source. It is not the source, but it is the connective tissue that we need it holds us steady as we're making these, a series of transitions in consciousness as we grow, awaken, evolve, apply. Yes, the record holds us steady as we awaken and realize the truth and live in that truth. What is distinct about the record from other it's an infinite spiritual resource, right? One of the things that's distinct is that spirit guides and angels, which have been very helpful to us throughout the centuries, when they come into the record, they relinquish their personal identities. They work as a group, very Aquarian age, right? And so we see that one of the great characteristics of working in the Akashic Record is we are working with a collective wisdom. The prayer I work in the sacred prayer tradition. The pathway prayer process came to me in 2001. I've been teaching it globally ever since with great success. In the saying of the prayer, we make a shift. We are conscious, responsible, and deliberate. We make a shift in our awareness so that it is easier to detect and to discern the greater truths about ourselves and others. It's really pretty terrific. The good news, or the news, is that that there is no Akashic angel. There's no Akashic being that we have to beg, implore, worship, none of that. It is about a co-creative partnership. We have the human part. This dimension of light has the spiritual inspiration part. Now, when we talk about thriving, it's such an interesting word. I love this word because what it really means is to like flourish and to blossom. I don't know about any of you, but I come from a long line of people who take great pride in suffering. So my people pride themselves on. And it has certainly, martyrdom, suffering, unnecessary self-sacrifice have been the hallmarks of many great spiritual traditions. And they have certainly brought us to this fabulous new age. However, what is asked of us now is to grow, to flourish, to blossom in times that are uncertain. We have been for centuries had very predictable ways of approaching life, very systematic, tried and true. However, if you go outside, if you open your eyes in the morning, you notice, everyday life is changing, which is very, very exciting. The old is falling apart. The new has yet to emerge. And the question for us is, how do we grow, thrive, right, flourish in times of tremendous uncertainty? Now, what we see in these times of changes, through the change, right? As climate is going and we've got a pandemic and economies are crashing and governments and religions and social structures, it's all basically collapsing. And what we see in the Akashic Light is a truth that has always been present, and that is that we are one. We have always been one. These crises don't make us one. We are already one. What they bring to our attention is that we are already and have always been interrelated and always will be. And the nature of the global crisis at this time calls on us to live in the reality of the oneness, right? And because this is what will certainly ensure our survival as a species, right, is that we work together as we operate as one unit, which we really are. Okay. We also know from working in the records is we have no power to change other people. The record is about the point of power that lives within us, each individual taking responsibility for their own growth and transformation. Now, the Akashic Approach. The Akashic Record is a dimension of infinite kindness, respect, unconditional love, no negative judgment, no fear, no resistance. So what we're looking at is a point of view that is about seeking and finding the love and the goodness, no matter what circumstances or appearances suggest. So what this means is, and this includes ourselves and all the people we're involved with. So what the record brings to our attention are questions like they're like turbocharged healing questions. Questions like, how do I love myself in the midst of great change? How do I love myself when I cannot seem to fix this? How do I love myself if I get sick? How do I love myself if I can't heal the people I love? See, these are, until we accept, or as we accept, the reality of who we are, when we are, why we are, here we are, right? Through the acceptance, right? Acceptance facilitates release from old patterns and empowers us to propel into the future. It does not give us the ability to manipulate circumstances, because the true spiritual path is not about manipulation, superstition, right? It isn't, well, we know this, right? It's about finding the flow and living in the center. And as we do that, circumstances will transform. But the question is, we live in the paradox, and the record brings this to our attention. On one hand, as souls, we are infinite, eternal, immortal. It's all true. As human beings, however, we are mere mortals. We have limitations, we have flaws. So how can we live in the paradox? And the way through the paradox, by shining Akashic light on it, is recognizing that life will use us even if we are not perfect. The goal of the spiritual journey is not perfection, but it's discovering our unique usefulness, finding ways to love and serve others that nurture and sustain us, because as we know, the age of martyrdom is over, thank goodness. Anyway, so the Akashic approach is this: how do I love myself in the midst of times like this? How do I love myself when the political situation is so disturbing? We don't have to worry. And please, I ask in the records, right? Help me to recognize that the light that is in me is in every other person, even if I don't understand their behavior. This is right. So I don't have to send anybody light. Actually, it's a little embarrassing. No need for that. The thing is, to be a seeker and a finder of light in the face of no evidence. Anyway, so the Akashic approach frees us from our own limiting patterns, enables us to be in harmony with who we are as human beings, right? And to know that each and every one of us is indeed the light of our world. Thank you very much.